Dolphins offense dominant, 70 points yesterday, the most points scored in the last 57 years since 1966. Tua, 4 touchdown passes. Miami added 5 rushing touchdowns, and they were dancing the day away. I'm not exactly sure what dance that was, but they was getting it.
It's the two-step.
The Dolphins were absolutely breathtaking offensively, but Joy, how good?
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. Now, if you were watching that game yesterday, you know the song now because they played it bunch of times.
Man.
The backups played it. Everybody played it.
They did. Backups to the backups.
How good? Sorry, I interrupted.
How good are the Dolphins?
Dolphins are the best team in the NFL.
Oh, you switched quick.
Oh my God! I updated my information. Dolphins are the best team in the NFL.
But it's the Dolphins who pull off a historic beatdown of this Denver team. They won. I can't believe this is the score.
Nothing. Having said all of that's true. Didn't I tell you about Miami? Didn't I tell you about Miami? Didn't I come on the air about a week ago and I was like this? I want to see this team in the Super Bowl. It's the most exciting offense in football right now. I want Tua to stay healthy. Oh, by the way, I didn't even bring this up. They dropped to 70 without Waddle.
Without Waddle.
Without Jalen Waddle. Without Jalen Waddle. I mean, he wasn't around. He wasn't waddling around. He wasn't even there.
There is a story in the National Football League through 3 weeks, and they are the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
They have shown up in 2023 in breathtaking fashion.
7 days ago, I let off the show and I said, if there was a Super Bowl on Wednesday, the AFC representative will be the Miami Dolphins. By the way, that rings true.
Yes. Still true.
They are a track show.
Yeah.
What a football team down there in Miami. So much fun to watch.
Absolutely right. Not like that.
I mean, Jalen Waddle didn't even play.
Didn't even play?
Right.
He didn't even play? What?
And you talk about the top.
That was just a complete and total debacle if you're the Broncos. And if you were the Dolphins, it's a thing of beauty. It's the kind of thing that makes you think, if you're a Dolphins fan,
yeah,
team of destiny.
Right, it does. It's the kind of win, the kind of performers, the way you look on the field. You know, it makes you think we can win the Super Bowl. You're right. We're a Super Bowl football team.
But I don't believe it's hyperbole. This is the most explosive offense we've seen since the greatest show on turf. And that's even with Kansas City's Tyreek Hill and all of those different things. There is so much speed on this field, and I believe
Miami is for real. And not just because they scored 70 against the Denver Broncos. They showed you what I always talk about. When you're a really good team and you play a bad team, you should beat the hell out of them. Okay. Kansas City, Chicago, Miami, Denver, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, make no doubt about it. Tua is the MVP of the league right now. I mean, whether you like it or not,
I don't like
309 yards.
It's the Broncos, you guys.
Unbelievable. I mean, every once in a while, you're like, 51 points or something. Like, you don't see 60, and 70 is absolutely unheard of. It's ridiculous. But credit to Miami. It's the #1 show in the league right now. And you know what I know the most embarrassing part? I'm not supposed to say this. Yesterday I'm on game day more. I picked Denver to win.
Yeah, you did. You did all week. It's okay.
I'm sorry, Miami. Fine, clown me. I don't care. You guys were so right.
The The Dolphins offense dominant, 70 points yesterday, the most points scored in the last 57 years since 19.
Host Fins Sammy AKA Fins on X, and joining me as always, my co-host Steve Hallett. Steve, welcome to the party. Welcome to the show.
Sammy, it is an absolute party. We're meeting a night earlier than we usually do. It's Tuesday, not Wednesday. Could not wait. Had to get on here a day earlier because we have so much to talk about. We're not going to be able to get to everything that we need to talk about from the Broncos game because we're already on to the Bills. But I don't want to skip all that. We've got some excellent content. We've got Eddie and Matt in the hopper here waiting to join us. You know, every week you show some funny highlights, some post-game feedback from the media. You know, absolutely. Well, I don't think we'd keep enough receipts because we could fill up a bunch of episodes from people who, you know, preseason 2 weeks ago, a week ago, didn't believe in us. But, you know, it's 2 weeks in a row now I've seen on the Fox Radio, Fox Sports Speak show where every time Joy Taylor is sitting there wrapping herself in a Dolphins flag, proud about everything, you need to go back and look at Shady's face. You can tell because if I listened a few weeks ago to him and he absolutely takes pride in the fact that, yeah, he started in Philly, but he takes pride in the fact that he's a Buffalo Bill. Yeah. And you can see the pain on his face when Joy is sitting there wrapping herself in that flag and celebrating the Dolphins and everything. And then when she's like, there's no doubt that they're the best team, he just actually kind of nods his face. It's just kind of like that Alonzo Mourning gif where he's just like,
yeah.
And you just realize he's like, you know, right now, this snapshot in time, the Dolphins are one of, if not the best, definitely the most electric team in the NFL. So incredible. Sammy?
Yeah, certainly the most entertaining team by far in the NFL. For the whole league and for us, especially, we're waiting for a long, long time for a team like this, so we're enjoying the fun. So we're going to talk about, on this episode, we're going to marvel on the iconic calls of Kevin Harlan. We're going to have some fun with some of the best calls about the Dolphins. We're also going to talk about the upcoming game against the division champion Buffalo Bills this Sunday. And we're going to talk about who's under most pressure. Is it Tua? Is it Josh Allen? Well, we're going to have a lot to talk about, but we're going to have a lot of fun during this episode. We have certainly a lot of reason to be happy. So we're going to start with the Dolphins putting a 70 burger on the Broncos.
For Denver, 1st and 10, the fake, good block in there, and down it goes, caught at the 30. This is the dynamic Hill. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill, touchdown. What a block by Isaiah Wynn to buy 2 a time, and they're dancing early in South Florida. Berrios on the move, pitch out A-Chain, blocked by Berrios, blocked by Armstead. Look at him dive! Look at him score! With a 2nd down and goal. Oh, look at that! Shovel pass, A-Chain breaks a tackle and dives for 6.
Penalties, but a couple of big defensive plays.
Fake to Mostert, 1st and 10. Here they go with Hill. Turner Young got him, but they couldn't bring him down. He's so elusive. It's a foot race. And he got by Surtain. He gets a block downfield from Berrios.
By Tyreek Hill. Not taken to the ground. Let's see if his knee's down.
Mostert is in. 1st and 10. Here's the call. The big gain. He broke a tackle of Sanders. He gets by the defensive back Mathis and takes it in for 6. Mostert a 20-yard touchdown run.
And the timing of it, they've had some production.
2nd and 10. Nice catch as Sutton drops it. It's picked up on the play. Van Ginkel, Wilkins a block. Look at the linebacker go. A-Chain spinning. Mostert blocked in there. Touchdown. A touchdown run. And they'll dance their way to a 34-10 lead. Everything going right for Miami. 4th and goal. A-Chain. Oh, that's Mostert who takes it in. 1-yard touchdown run. Right here, Sutton gets by Holland, punched away. He fumbles again. Miami has got it. Sutton has fumbled for a second time in this one. Mostert was in the backfield, 3rd and 7 against the call. There's a nice block from Hill. Oh, look at the move. Dazzling display. Touchdown, Miami. Mostert. 19-yard touchdown. Batted down. Intercepted on the ricochet. Intercepted on the play by Ogba. Another turnover, the 3rd by the Broncos. Gives Miami this great position, 2nd and goal. Shovel pass. A-Chain. Touchdown. 3rd down, 10. 32, White going deep. Oh, he's got Chosen. Beating Surtain for 6. The former Robbie Anderson. That's regular season. 2nd down and 2. A-Chain, big hole. Turns it on, accelerating. You can kiss him goodbye. 69 points on a 67-yard touchdown run by A-Chain. His 2nd rushing touchdown and his 4th today. Between the coaches here, this will be interesting. And Sean Payton, classy move by both men.
Certainly was a great game. The Dolphins put in a 70-burger, an historic 70-burger on the Denver Broncos. It was out of this world, if you ask me.
It's another one of those games reminiscent of last year against the Baltimore Ravens when Tua threw for 6 touchdowns. That comeback, again, we'll talk about it later. Kevin Harlan calling that. Coincidence? I think not. But it's one of those games where you just can't get enough of the highlights because there was just so many of them. And it's interesting watching the same ones over and over again. You know, realize they did that conga line dance. That was like the 5th touchdown. Yeah. You know, it feels like it was later in the game, but it was a much longer game than I'd expected. You know, went like 3.5 hours, something like that. But it was absolutely awesome. But you know, I've got some thoughts on it. You know,
well, I had to think so far back to the last days of John Shula to remember a game like that. Like that game that against the Jets when they season opener, that game they had at least 17 first-round picks on the team. The Dan Marino comeback, those days of joy. It's been a long time since the Dolphins we've been able to to control the game, to outscore at will the other team. So it was just phenomenal. I was so happy with it.
I think one of the most interesting things, and this is something that I don't think many teams really get a chance to experience, is that 3 weeks now we've come out with 3 different game plans, or at least 3 different sets of results that we have delivered. You know, go to the Chargers, it was deep ball. Tua just absolutely obliterated them, 466 yards through the air. We wore them down through the passing game. Defense took a little while to show up, but they showed up at the end. Next week, Patriots week. Defense shows up, they ball out, transition that game like we had talked about last week, where McDaniel came out on the run. You know, Tua still had a respectable day, but we didn't put everything on his shoulders. And then this week, again, totally different set of game plans, stuff that they hadn't shown before. And clearly, I think when the game progressed and McDaniel said, we don't have to put this on Tua's shoulders. We're going to set this running game loose. But it's just another, you know, it's a little bit more evidence that what we're experiencing right now is something that we haven't, you know, didn't expect. I said a couple of years ago, last year, that the way that they were setting up the team with Hill and everything, you know, I called this at that point because I knew how fast Mostert was, knew he had the speed, that this was going to be the best thing since the fastest show on turf. I think that's how they called it in St. Louis, the Kurt Warner years and everything. It didn't materialize last year for several different reasons. But then, you know, on the Get Up just now, the promo you just showed, or the video, they mentioned that themselves, you know, on the ESPN show. This is seriously the most electric, and it might be more electric than what that greatest show on turf was at that time.
Yeah, you said that. It's funny. When I saw A-Chain running with that 28, I remember so much about Marshall Falk. It was surreal. It was just
Yeah.
surreal. Well, we're going to be joined now by our esteemed panelist, Mr. 20-0, man Armstrong, the controversial Eddie Chaput. Good evening, guys.
Good evening.
Well, guys, it was out of this world, like I said before to Steve. It was incredible. It's been so long since we've seen a game like that. I want to start with you, Matt. What are your thoughts about the game?
I'm exhausted, first and foremost, just watching the highlights that you ran at the beginning. They're literally exhausted, tired of watching another touchdown. How fun was that? It's been a long time that we've seen that kind of fireworks, that kind of firepower. But in our history as fans of this team, we watched those kinds of fireworks, and we talked about it last week. Going back to Marino, we talked about how you knew you had a dog in the fight. You knew you had a chance, right? But something really interesting happened on Sunday. Forget the 10 touchdowns. I want you to think about 8 of those touchdowns. 8 of those touchdowns came on the ground. So much talk has been about Tua. Is he a good quarterback? Can he throw? Can he throw the long ball? It's all Tyreek. Tua's riding on Tyreek's cape. Not only did he not ride on Tyreek's cape, but Jalen Waddle wasn't even in the game. 8 touchdowns scored on the ground. 4 by Mostert, 4 by Ashan, I think his name is, how it's pronounced. None of us saw that coming. We thought that maybe it would be the mid-game Berrios, Durham Smythe. It might be that kind of a deal with Waddle out, a heavy dose of Mostert. I didn't see this coming. And then you get the backup quarterback coming in there and throwing for his life. Lauderdale kid wanting to be on the greatest stage he's ever been on. Just a fantastic experience, and it makes me wonder, what are you going to do for an encore?
Yeah, definitely. Well, how about you, Eddie? I don't remember the last time I saw something like this. Like I said, it was a long time, and I'm sure you're very passionate. I know you, like me, you sometimes be frustrated about this team. So it should have been a great experience for you watching the game like that this Sunday.
It was great. We've been on the other end of them when Flores started with that. I believe it was Baltimore.
The Ravens game, yeah.
And it was nice to be on this end. But for me, everything starts with that offensive line. It's like they're taking it personal not to let anybody touch Tua. They're opening holes I've never seen before. And Mostert, he is running angry. He is tired of hearing about we need another back.
I think he's watching.
Guys. He's not going down on the first time somebody touches him. He added him 10 pounds. He's knocking guys over. Look at that 4th and 1 run on the goal line. He knocked a guy backwards. And Ashan, I believe, is what he wants to be called. Boy, that is just – he's another guy. He's 5'8", but he doesn't go down on the first time somebody touches him. And then when he hits the hole, goodbye. It's amazing. I love it. They're going in a good direction. The defense played great again, and I'm just so happy they have the best coach they've had since Shula, for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I was going to go to that. His coaching, the job Mike McDaniel is doing is just incredible. He's out matching everybody. He's out scheming everybody, and he has this team believing. We're going to talk later. This is going to be a huge matchup, a tough matchup this Sunday. But as far as coaching is concerned, I don't expect anyone to coach. It's been said, some of the pundits even said that last year McDaniel coached Sean McDermott. So we're going to see what happens this Sunday. Steve, any last thoughts on the game?
I've got lots of thoughts,
Oh,
but
please.
no, I'm not going to take up the entire show here with it. But it's let's give credit to the people out in the social media world, because they do 99.9% of the analysis that we sit and talk about and quote. I have a day job. We all have day jobs. We're not sitting here doing this, but so you see on Twitter/X the constant feed of the charts, and how incredible is it for everybody that's a Dolphins fan right now to go from where we were seeing our quarterback, our team in general, in the bottom left-hand corner of those charts that shows, man, they're just trash, where so many of our players are in the upper right quadrant now. And it's because our team has been tailor-made to fit a coach. It's everybody came together at the same exact time. McDaniel was a year late to getting to really help build it, but it was the perfect timing for everybody to come together, for Coach Fangio to be here to pick up a relatively young, overly talented but underutilized strengths within our defense. I think it's incredible to have that happening. And another thing that I saw last week that I didn't get a chance to talk about is Tua's time to throw is the fastest in the league. However, his average depth of target is by far the deepest.
That's lethal.
It's absolutely lethal, and it reminded me of, and I like to give shout outs here to people that we listen to or have on the socials, but Rob Profit, his hashtag or his tag is breaking down film. I've been on here for like 12, 13 years on the social media platform, and we've been following each other a lot of the time. We were both in the Air Force together. Matt Armstrong, we were in the Air Force as well. But when Tua was drafted, he was skeptical because of his injury history, but he was very, very realistic in saying Tua can be the best. However, he's not going to be the best until you build a team that fits what he needs. In his first year, what did we have? We had our leading rusher was Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's just in the backfield, but the receiving core, all due respect, they're world-class athletes, but they were subpar. They were nothing. None of them are in the league anymore. It's not up to standard. So Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, the organization went out there and built the team that fit what he does best. Being at a certain spot, being downfield, and the head coach is strategizing an offense that fits exactly that. It's a incredible marriage of everything that really needed to materialize for Tua to be successful. But there's so much more than that. The offensive line producing now, running backs. I've been a huge Mostert fan since he stepped in here, just knowing, yes, he has some injury history in the past. Last year he did 16 out of 17 games, wasn't utilized enough, but he's always broken a lot of tackles. And as Eddie just said, he's just bowling people over. He is running like trying to prove a point to say, you doubted me. I added those extra pounds and I'm still just as fast and I'm going to continue to succeed on here. It was just absolutely incredible. And I think that we need to pay a little bit of respect in this to a couple people. First of all, Tua in the no-look shovel pass. I still just kind of shudder. I get that. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Every time I see that replay of him just stepping like this and looking at the defender and going like that with his offhand, it's just one of those things that just makes me like, oh my God. Okay, thought number 2, Jason Sanders. I really believe that if we're at the 15-yard line, there is a chance that McDaniel does kick that field goal. If they're going to let us score, hey, we're going to be down there. Maybe he does it. Maybe I give McDaniel some credence to what he's saying. My honest belief in this is that he didn't want to stroll out Jason Sanders in front of a raucous, ready to see the record broken home crowd, and Jason Sanders goes out there and kicks a field goal and misses it. And at that point, people won't remember that we were the highest scoring team since 1966. They will remember that we were one kick away from breaking that record. And damn it, it's Jason Sanders. I didn't want to see that happen to him. I tweeted out, with like a minute left on the clock, a gif of him like sweating. I just know that he's like, oh my God, please just fumble, take a knee, something, don't do this to me. But I really think that, there's a level of humility for McDaniel to say, we're not going to totally destroy them and set a record on the Broncos. But I think that part of it was the fact that he knew that he didn't want to risk Jason Sanders' psyche with that. Last thought, TD the mascot. I see that part, towards the end of the game, he stopped trying to do push-ups. He's like, I'm going to do crunches right now. But I tried doing the math earlier today. How many push-ups did the poor guy have to do before he's like, I can't do it anymore? So anyway, that's all I've got. Like I said, I've got a lot of stuff. I have even more, but I've talked enough. Phenomenal. I'm going to relive that game for a long time.
I just want to say before I throw it back to Matt and Eddie, I want to believe that you're probably right, stating that you're probably right about that. There, one, if it was Sean Payton, he would have kicked that field goal, no matter what.
Hands down.
And second, I personally, I want to believe that Mike McDaniel, for a second thought, we have a bigger goal than have this kind of record. That's what I want to believe. I know you're probably right, but that's what I truly want to believe. Matt, any last thoughts about the Broncos game?
I think the last thing that I want to mention is I talked about it a little bit more earlier. We had two backs that scored 8 touchdowns between the two of them. And when you think of Tyreek and Tua only went for 309 only. 309 is kind of pedestrian if you look at what he did week 1. Remember, 466.
Mm-hmm.
And there were hammerheads out there who were crying about him as if he was bragging about the 466. No, he was basically telling everybody, shut up about whether I can go, long or pile up numbers. He went for 309. No big deal. Spread it around. As complete a game as I've ever seen, and they weren't even fully manned. And one last thing. I hear Steve. I love his theory on Jason Sanders. There's probably some truth to it. If you got McDaniel in a corner and, hey man, tell the truth. But I want a couple things. Number one, the Saints came into Miami back in 2009, beat the Dolphins, scored a bogus touchdown that the officials allowed to happen, and it never should have happened. That was a Sean Payton team. They won the Super Bowl that year. Fast forward to last year, Payton's on somebody's TV show, and he announced that Tua is not going to finish the season. He'll be replaced by Bridgewater. And if you listen to that soundbite, it was matter of fact. It was regardless if it's due to injury or because he's outplayed, Bridgewater's going to replace Tua. So I want to believe, as Steve believes, that somewhere deep down inside that there's very much an FU in there to Payton, in his mindset. Listen, he's an offensive genius. He's got a lot of cachet in the league, a lot of fans. Well, I'll just go ahead and say he's a great coach, but how you like me now?
Eddie.
Speaking of FUs, Chris Greer could say that to me, because when he said, I think he was at a press conference and he said, I'm not worried about the offensive line, only you guys are. And I went, you have the gall to say that with these guys? And now, I mean, the Butch Berry hire, way underrated, amazing. That move, the guard for Wynn, is awesome. He's been one of the best linemen. But for the plays, the one that really gave me goosebumps was, I believe it was Mostert that near the goal line. Mostert went on like a jet sweep, and then Tua kind of no look handed it off to Ashawn, and he scored. That was an amazing play call and play design. It's just so good to see it.
Amazing. Steve, any last thought about the game?
No, I feel like we paid a lot of attention to the defense. Let me just give a shout out. If it's not for that one kickoff return for a touchdown, it's take away 7. Now it's a 57-point curb stomping. Who knows? Javon Holland played lights out. Justin Bethel, very unsung younger player on this team. Every time you see him, he is around the ball. It's a team that is young, that is coalescing, and it's exciting to see where we're going to be going in the weeks to come here.
I'm going to say something, one last thought before we go to the next topic. So I don't think anyone has said about this, about the game. Somewhere, Stephen Ross must be smiling when he said, Sean Payton talked and, we lost some picks because his blabbermouth said that we were pursuing him. And I got the bigger, I had the best coach, I got the bigger laugh. So somewhere Stephen Ross must be smiling. So that was good. So next we're going to marvel on some of the iconic calls, Dolphin-related calls of the great Kevin Harlan.
I broke CBS protocol. He has 1st and goal, down by 4. And they're at the New England 4-yard line, 1st and goal. 29 seconds left. Here, Butker kicks the extra point. And Fitzpatrick throws in the end zone. Touchdown, Miami! The Dolphins have just scored. Gesicki, the tight end, got a laser in the back of the end zone on a goal-to-go touchdown pass by Miami quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick to take a lead with 24 seconds to go. The extra point coming up for Miami, leading New England 26-24. And the crowd now knows it. What a throw by Fitzpatrick. What a touchdown run by Williams on the last weekend of the regular season in the NFL. If the Chiefs win and New England loses, the Chiefs will be the 2 seed. They'll get the bye and they'll have a home game the next weekend.
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games. Here is the extra point. The Dolphins have just gone up on New England 27-24. And 3rd and 10. Tua going deep. Oh, he's got Hill! He's got Hill! That is 6. And the Dolphins are back in business. Tagovailoa, blocked by Armstead. Going, he's got him! He's got him! Tyreek Hill! And the Dolphins have come back! 60 yards! Tagovailoa, blocked by Armstead. 2 into the end zone. Caught for the touchdown! Caught for the touchdown! Waddle! Miami has taken the lead! Wearing a new helmet, so many different parts to his story. 1st down and 10. Across the middle, caught by Waddle, and there he goes! Look at Waddle fly! Woo! What a play! Secondary, 3rd down, 1. Justin Herbert, here comes the driving. Kohu! Got him! Got him! What a play on the blitz, Kohu! The poor punt. With the best beginning field position, 35 of LA. He's got Hill. That's a touchdown! The sack sets it up. The defense held. The electrifying Hill finishes it off for Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa, hunt the block. Tua on the move, going deep, speed race. He's got Hill! He's got Hill! He beat James! What a play! Roma is in the backfield. And they go to the end zone and caught. Hill! Touchdown! Touchdown! 2nd down and 20, back at the 24. Herbert to the air. Chubb. Oh, look at him! It's a party in the back! Christian Wilkins comes through. They come! Phillips has got him! Phillips has got him! In the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic Hill. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown. What a block by Isaiah Wynn to buy 2 a time, and they're dancing early in South Florida. I broke CBS protocol. He has 1st and goal, down by 4.
He's simply the best. We're gonna have some fun. I just wanted, to express our gratitude and love for what Kevin Harlan does. He's such a great, amazing guy. He had an interview last week with Charles Winfield on the official website, and you can see how he talked about how much he admires too. How much he's developed, and he's such a great guy. Steve, any thoughts on the iconic Kevin Harlan?
Iconic, and I think that we've said it last week that it would just be incredible if somehow we could contract to have Kevin Harlan call every single one of our games. And I know this is me blocking out the bad. I'm sure there's plenty of receipts out there of Kevin calling games where the Dolphins have been defeated, but it feels like every time he is out there, we at least have a chance. If not, we absolutely take the game. And it's one of those, you hear his voice and you get chills on that last touchdown pass against the Ravens to Waddle. And something just occurred to me. My wife and I, we got engaged on the side of on the sideline before the Chargers game a long time ago. We went 35-0 that game won. And we've always said, hey, we're going to have our 10-year anniversary. We want to get remarried on the field. So Tom Garfinkel, I really need to find a way to make this happen. But I'm going to double down now and say that we need to have Kevin Harlan be the officiant for it, because it would just be absolutely incredible to have that memory of him being able to call that. It'd be another iconic Kevin Harlan calling something for the Dolphins. But I love hearing his voice. Love hearing that.
That was also Eddie. Any thoughts on the iconic Kevin Harlan?
His voice inflection on plays just gives you chills. When you hear it and you see it, it's awesome. And then now I have to look forward to Tony Romo this week, which is not my favorite announcer at all. But I love Kevin. He's the best. He really is.
Matt, any thoughts on the iconic Kevin Harlan?
Yeah, I think I could watch him or listen to him call any game. I think most of my exposure to him has been during Dolphins games. And in our history, we haven't been blessed with the number one crew every time. It comes with the territory. Or we did get the number one crew, but that's because we were playing the Patriots, right, or the Steelers. So I think one of the best features, one of the best things about an announcer like Harlan is if you can get in and get with his broadcast without caring who wins, that's the sign to me of somebody that I want to listen to. I've been a college basketball fan my whole life. I tuned out Dickie V decades ago because it became shticky, right? It became the circus as opposed to watching the game. Harlan makes you feel like you're invested in those teams, even if it's Seattle versus Arizona. Great. I would watch that just to hear him call the game. Big fan.
Any last thoughts, Steve?
You can hear his passion. You can hear that he loves doing what he does. He has that. Matt hit it perfectly. You don't have to have a horse in the race. When he is calling the game, it draws you into it. Yeah. And he's a treasure. He's a treasure in Miami Gardens for the Dolphins. Looking forward to having him call many more of our games. Hopefully he sticks around with us for a while.
Fun fact, Kevin Hart is probably going to call the Super Bowl on Westwood one, on the radio. So that's just a fun fact. We'll see what happens. Next is Bill's Mafia. It's time to bring out the tables.
Usually right. Here's Singletary, and can they bring him down? Let's see. This mark could decide it. It looks like they can have about a foot short. Wow!
I would take a timeout if I'm Buffalo, take it all the way down, and discuss this now. Are we inches, or are we a foot or a yard? And let's see exactly.
Well, they've given them the first down. They're saying on the field, first down.
Really?
I think they might want to take a look at this.
Whoa, they can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that.
You got to look at this. Where do you say this ball should be spotted?
Well, these are unique on this play, guys, because you really don't have the runner down by contact, right? There's no knee, body part down. So this is a case where his forward progress stops in relation to the line to gain. So you've got to look at this review now and look and see when does the running back's forward progress in movement end, and where that stops and he begins to be driven back, that's the point where you're going to put this football and take a look. And remember too, when our cameras are 2 or 3 yards beyond that line to gain, you're going to...
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands.
Game over.
Game over.
The Buffalo
Not
Bills.
enough evidence to overturn it. That's probably correct. That's why the ruling on the field is so important. They survived, Jim. Buffalo, wow, nervous, right?
Gene, they just, that's one of those deals that you can't overturn it, not enough evidence.
That's what makes the ruling on the field so important, Jim, is that you've got to get indisputable evidence to overturn it.
I think it's the right call now, right? I think he was short, no question. But once they spotted it there and said that, like you said, they don't have clear evidence exactly where he's down. He didn't have a knee down or something.
Mitch Morris knew all along it was a first down. You saw his reaction. There it is. Giants and Vikings are just underway. Wanted everyone to know that. What a gutty effort by Miami.
Great effort. But Buffalo is still here.
Usually right. Here's Singletary.
Well, it's funny how we live by the sword and we died by the sword. It's very similar to the finish of the Patriots game. The September Dolphins are no more coming this time. The 3-0 Miami Dolphins in September, no more. October 1st, the Dolphins face Bill Mafia in Buffalo. It's going to be a tough game. The Dolphins played them hard last week. They won at Miami. That game where they could blame it on the heat and the humidity, but the Dolphins played hard and won the game. The second game was a Saturday night game, and the Dolphins hanging there. They had some leads. When the snowstorm came, things happened, and the Dolphins lost a close one. And a depleted Dolphins team went to Buffalo in the playoffs, and as you see, I'm not saying that if you got that made a stop, they would have won the game. They were still trailing, but they just proved that they played them tough. So, Steve, I go to you. What are your thoughts on this game against Bills Mafia and Buffalo?
It's one of those things that I just kind of block out, and I shouldn't because I'm a Dolphins fan, but the frustration, but the positive in something like that is we had a team that we know that every game that Tua was out last year, we really lost a huge part of our team.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing that Coach McDaniel, with the defensive coordinator at the time, a very depleted defensive backfield, that we brought Skylar Thompson into a wild card game in Buffalo in the cold weather, and we lost by 3. I'm not one for moral victories, but I think that the members of the Dolphins that are still on the team that were there in that game carry that with them, and they know what they're capable of. I don't think that, they're professionals. They don't need confidence boosts or anything like that, or at least most of them don't. But I think that they remember that. They know what they're capable of. The first 3 games of the season here, preparing them for more. I'll save my prediction, but I think that this is a clash of 2 Titanic teams coming off of very impressive games for 2 different reasons. The Dolphins with their offense, the Bills coming off of a 35-3 victory against the Washington Commanders, 9 sacks, 5 turnovers. It's going to be a test. I think it really is.
Yeah, indeed. How about you, Matt? What are your thoughts on the upcoming game against Bills Mafia and Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I hate Buffalo. I'd kick them out of the league. Send them to Toronto. I would like them if they moved the entire team to Toronto. Make them a part of
Could have happened.
It almost happened,
Mhm.
but in all seriousness, Buffalo's got a really good team, and I'll never ever shortchange them of that. I will give them grief because Bills Mafia, you guys are 0-4 in Super Bowls. Come talk to me when you have one in the win column. Um, you act like Patriot fans should act, right? I've never met a Patriot fan that wasn't confident in his fandom because he had 6 to back themselves up. Bills and Jets fans are the most insecure and have no reason to be as bold and brazen as they are. I also am going to save my prediction for this game. By the way, I've been pretty good at predictions lately. Let's see if I can't come up with a good one before the end of the show.
Matt coming in with like an RKO against Bills Mafia. Just total
Right on the table.
off the top turnbuckle, through the
Out of
table,
nowhere.
RKO. All right. Eddie, what's up, man? What do you think?
I hate Buffalo week. I absolutely hate it. Just seeing their fans on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it drives me nuts. And I remember when we used to beat them a lot, and that was fun. But now it's just such a nerve-wracking game because you want to beat them so bad. You want to talk trash back to them. But right now, until we can consistently beat that team, I just keep my mouth shut, let the team do the talking, and it's going to be a tough game because that's a hard place to play. And looking forward to it. I'm looking to see how Fangio does against Allen, what he comes up with, and also our offense against the Bills' defense, which has been better than I thought it would be this year.
Yeah, the Bills right now are ranked near the top on both offense and defense again. So Josh Allen is certainly a very, very good quarterback, if not a great quarterback. I'm not sure for how many years he's going to be able to do the things that he does when he runs so much. So it's amazing that he's not being injured even more, though. But you saw Cam Newton. Cam Newton had so many great years, MVP candidate, but eventually, the body caught up to him. So Josh Allen, the window, if you ask me, the window of the Buffalo Bills is closing. Hopefully the Dolphins will accelerate that process and get a win this weekend, and we'll be on their way.
I definitely think it's closing. I think that in the vacuum of where we're just finishing week 3, we're entering week 4, they're not on the Chiefs level. Definitely not. And I think they're probably right neck and neck with the Dolphins. I think that for their own very distinct reasons, that they're very equal with each other. So I think it's going to be a very interesting game. And Matt, to your point, Bills Mafia, I will say this. I despise Bills Mafia. I grew up an hour south of Buffalo, going to school, middle school, high school, wearing my Zubaz pants, where really I only had 4 days to enjoy for, those years. And that was the Monday after the Super Bowl when I would strut down the hallway, pointing at people, laughing at them and everything. But I got to say, I despise Bills Mafia except for my mother, my stepfather, and my brother-in-law and his wife. I love them. They're Bills fans. But other than that, I'm right there with you. I can't stand them. Eddie, I agree with you. Until we can be the man against them with any level of consistency, I reserve my trash talk for that.
I agree. So next we're gonna do some toss-up. We're going to do some toss-up with the topic. We're going to continue the topic with the Bills. My question to you guys: who you think has more to prove? Is it Tua or Josh Allen? I'm gonna start with Matt. Matt, who you think has more to prove right now, Tua or Josh Allen?
This is a great toss-up subject. I think Tua has rightfully earned the opportunity to prove himself every single day. We see bits and pieces of it through the course of the week or through the course of the summer in training camp. He knows, and it seems like, as we talked about earlier, it seems like that he's taking those opportunities to say, what's next? Who's next? But I'm not going to sleep on Josh Allen either. Steve just said that he thinks the window is closing. I feel the same way. I feel like the Bills have been the pick for several years now, and they barely beat a really beat up Dolphins team in the playoffs, and barely beat them by 3 points. I think that Josh Allen is cognizant of the fact that his window might be closing with the team as it is currently built. So I'm going to say that Josh Allen has more to prove because he's trying to hang on to what he's had. It's Josh Allen for me.
How about you, Eddie? Who do you think is have most to prove? Is it Tua or Josh Allen?
It's a tough question. It's Tua until they take over the top spot. Although I do believe Josh Allen has a lot of pressure on him to stay on top, but I think Tua until he proves we're better than Buffalo.
How about you, Steve?
I was trying to cheat and check something out here because I'm just curious because I know it's been updated. It's one more than that, but it's Tua. It's Tua because Josh Allen for a few years now has been anointed the golden child. You've got Mahomes; he's in a class all by himself. But Josh Allen, how many more turnovers this last week? What's he at? 85 lifetime turnovers now, but he's on the cover of Madden. He's got a rocket for an arm. He's highly athletic. He's fast. Got great leadership. I hate him, but God, he's such a good guy off the football field with people. Hate to say that, but nothing sticks to him. He's at that level of hierarchy in NFL players and quarterbacks where really nothing that he does sticks with him. Every single thing that Tua does, it's under the microscope. One of the video montage things you showed to open was them commenting that Tua was able, maybe you didn't show it, I saw it in some previews, but they made it a point to say that he just needed to do a little shovel pass behind the line of scrimmage. 3 of his touchdown passes came from behind the line of scrimmage. I don't care where they came from. We've seen so much of him that he throws the ball downfield and ends up succeeding with that. We know that he has capability of doing that, but we just showed, we don't need to do that. We're going to do it on the ground by running. We're going to do it on the ground with little passes behind the line of scrimmage. But in terms of what's at the table right now to prove, sorry, Sherry, I see you're commenting here. I don't think it's Josh Allen. It's Tua because he needs to go up there and prove that A, he can lead the team in Orchard Park. B, he can stay healthy. It's not all on him. It's on the offensive line. It's on the team. And C, he can walk out of there with a win.
Well, what's funny is that both of these quarterbacks and both of these teams came to the season with some questions. Tua has some questions that he can hold up. If Matt Daniel could stay creative, if the offense hadn't grown stale, and the Bills before the season were supposedly on the cusp of imploding. They have Dick's problem. The Josh Allen could have started reversing, and I think at this moment both of those quarterbacks have answered the questions. This Sunday is going to be a huge statement on which of the two stay on course. Who has most to prove is always going to be Tua, because no matter what Tua does, And the next Monday, they're gonna say that he didn't do enough. If the defense holds and we win defensively, it wasn't Tua. If we win by a lot, it was McDaniel. If we run the ball, it was the running game. So it's never gonna prove it right those who don't want to be proven wrong. So it's always going to be Tua. However, uh, Josh Allen, as I said before, has some proving to do that he can stay himself healthy, because that style of play eventually is bound to break down. So he's a great quarterback. The Bills deserve all the respect. They're division champions. They've proven it 3 years in a row. But this could be a huge statement. At the end of this toss-up segment, I'm gonna give my prediction. You're welcome to join if you want to, by the score for the game. So next, who's under more pressure? Is it McDaniel or McDermott? Well, uh, there were rumblings before the season that Sean McDermott could even lost his job if the Bills didn't get that far they're supposed to get. So far, he's weathered the storm. They have some problems in the locker room in the season, but he's doing a good job. They love the defensive coordinator. He's taking on the Rex defensive coordinator, and they're playing well. They deserve their praise. So I'm gonna go first to Eddie. Eddie, who do you think is under more pressure? Is it Mike McDaniel or McDermott?
McDermott, I believe this year's make or break for him. I think he's as least has to get back to that AFC Championship, and if he loses here, there'll be 2 games, I believe, behind Miami.
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the win. Miami'd be in the win column. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on McDaniel this year. I think it's definitely McDermott.
What do you think, Steve?
I agree with Eddie. I think that McDaniel is still so young in his coaching career. I think the year-over-year hop that he did to answer the questions that I had, our premiere episode, I believe I talked about the questions that I had. Can he build on the flash of what he showed last year? And he's already shown through 3 games, absolutely. Sean McDermott, to Eddie's point, was already rumored to have a lot of questions. He lost Leslie Frazier as defensive coordinator in the offseason. There were lots of questions about that, leaving him to call the defense, which, again, coming off phenomenal defensive performance, they may be able to duplicate it this week. They may not. I hope they don't. But 100% agree. He has to get back to the AFC Championship game, and he has to prove that he can lead his team to where the Bills' expectations that their fans have for him and that the media has just poured all over them for the past few years. It's 100% on McDermott.
What do you think, Matt? Who do you think is under more pressure? Is it McDaniel or McDermott?
It's absolutely McDermott. The guy's been almost to the promised land. He's been that far.
Mm-hmm.
He beat the Dolphins by 3 in the playoffs last year. That's not really convincing that you're the guy. That would make me as an owner think, how did you not smoke these guys? With the rumors, usually when there's rumors of some sort, smoke, there's fire. I think that he's under an immense amount of pressure, and it's compounded on Sunday around 4:15 if they're on the wrong side of the score.
Yeah, I think. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that they would fire him, after that game, but you'll start hearing it more if that game doesn't go their way.
I don't think it's even close. I think Sean McDermott is under more pressure. The expectations, not only for this year, for the last couple of years, has been for the team to go to the Super Bowl. That stacks up. There's no way he's not under more pressure than Mike McDaniel. And he's even said before, I think it was Colin Cowherd, said that Mike McDaniel outcoached McDermott during all 3 games last season. When the Dolphins beat spoiler alert, when the Dolphins beat the Bills this Sunday, you can see that's going to pile up. You're going to see some pundits starting to question. They're not going to rabble so much on the Dolphins win. They're going to go my opinion, they're going to concentrate on why the Bills lost the game, what's wrong with the Bills, what's wrong with Alec, what's wrong with McDermott. So that most definitely Sean McDermott is under more pressure. Any last thoughts?
Not on this, no.
Okay, next. Who has more to gain from a win this Sunday? I think that's an easy one, but I'm gonna start with Steve. Steve, what do you think? Who has the most to gain from the win on Sunday?
I'm a data guy. I'm a numbers guy. So I'd like to be short with it. I'm not short with anything. Let's break it qualitative, quantitative here.
Okay.
Quantitative, numbers wise, most to gain from this is clearly the Bills. As they said, they can't afford to drop 2.5 games behind. This would be 4 straight AFC wins for the Dolphins, 4-0 in their conference.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking huge leg up there in so many different metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Quantitatively there. Qualitatively, hands down, it's Miami. Miami has the most to gain from a win here to prove we've done it on the road 3 games, one of them in Buffalo, in the biggest, most hostile territory that we will face this year, in my opinion.
No doubt.
And coming back from, the first 4 games, which a lot of people were saying, are they going to end up 2-4, in the first 6 games of the year? How are they going to end up? Nobody knew except for Matt. Matt's called 20-0, so he figured that it was going to be, 4-0 at the end of this. But hands down, it's Miami with the most to gain from this, just simply for the fact that for them to do that in Buffalo, coming off of the games and the different types of performances. And also one last thing, again, we don't do this analysis. Other people do it for us. We just repeat it. We know we went 3-0 last year, went up to on a Thursday night game to Cincinnati, and that started a 3-game slide. And I think it was like going back into the 90s, the last several times that we've started the year 3-0, I think we're like 8-28 or something like that for the remainder of those seasons.
So that's right.
Miami, if they do this, they get that monkey off their back, and it's going to, I think, carry a ton of momentum for the rest of the year to get a record that I didn't think that was possible for them this year.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, Steve just used the key word there, and it's momentum. At the beginning of the season, they were going up against the Chargers with the guy that most said the Dolphins should have taken over the guy that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went to New England, which nothing more needs to be said. It's New England. And then they did what they did to Sean Payton on Sunday. There's quite a bit of kind of, okay, this is kind of interesting, because in each one of those instances, I can make the argument that they should not have won. With Herbert against the Patriots on the road, against Sean Payton. They pull this off on Sunday. The momentum is all theirs. 2.5 up on the division. All of their wins in the AFC, which, as Steve said, the metrics right now are completely unknowable, but it will matter November, December. How many times have we seen in the hunt? They show all of the division leaders, they show the 3 wild card leaders, and then in the hunt at 6 and 7, the Miami Dolphins. Momentum is the key here, and they pull this off on Sunday. I think that that monkey is definitely off the back.
Eddie, what do you think has most to gain, the Dolphins or the Bills?
Miami. The win in Buffalo would be tremendous for them. It gets them over that Buffalo hump, and they come back 4-0 in the 4-0 in the conference, 4-0 record overall, and a 2-game lead in the division, depending on what happens with New England. I'm not sure their record. It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. So 2-game lead, no matter what, and it's Miami. I think they will really get on a roll if they come out of there with a win.
Well, if who has most to lose by losing this game, I will say Buffalo, but it's since we're going the other way around, who's got more to gain is the Dolphins. To go to Buffalo to win on the road, to take a lead, a 2-game lead on the division. Well, they only have played. They still had to play the Jets, but to have a 2-game lead on the division, to me, the Dolphins had more to gain. The momentum, the way, the statement. Of course, it all probably going to go down to that last game of the season. It's going to be probably on Sunday night against the Bills in Miami. But as of right now, the Dolphins win this game. They're going to be a huge statement. Going to prove that the agenda is working. That they're on their way. So for me, the Dolphins have most to gain on the win.
We agree.
So I'm gonna give my prediction. You don't have to give one if you don't want to, but I'm gonna give my prediction. I'm gonna say the Dolphins are gonna win this game, 27-24 on a last minute field goal by Jason Sanders. And if you have any predictions for the game, feel free if you want to.
Well, it depends.
The controversial Chaput.
It depends on that center position. I am not going to say we're going to win. If Eichenberg is the center, I'm going to be worried. We were worried about Williams snapping the ball. Eichenberg, it was every time he snapped the ball in shotgun.
High snaps.
It was high.
The high snaps. Yeah.
I'm really worried about that. I'm not as worried with Phillips, even though it would be good to have him. They have pretty good depth on the linebacker, defensive end, whatever.
Your guy is playing great, so you work on it.
Yeah, they can flip him out. Long has really shown up the past couple games, but it's the offensive line. I'm just worried. If Williams plays, I'm gonna say Miami 21, Buffalo 17.
It was going game. Any of you guys?
Matt.
So it's Buffalo, and it can't be easy. If it were easy, it would be a Jets game. It's Buffalo. So it's going to be 27-21 Miami.
27-21?
27-21. And the reason it's 27-21 is because Buffalo will have a chance at the end, that 6-point difference. That it won't be easy for us as fans. It never is, right? So my prediction, 27-21 Miami. Allen throws an interception at the end on a Hail Mary, and we all look forward to our next episode talking about how I made another prediction that came true.
That's good.
I'll take that nail biter as long as the next video montage will include part 2 of their offensive coordinator absolutely destroying his Microsoft Surface tablet.
So
I want to see Ken Dorsey breaking it, and then this time they give him like one of those little kitty tablets or something like that. Be like, you're not allowed to have a Surface tablet anymore. Here's your little kitty tablet. God, I'm superstitious. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. Mm-hmm. Michael Scott, The Office. I'm very superstitious with this stuff. I really, really don't like doing it. I have no bearing on what happens in this universe, so I should just suck it up. 34-24, Miami Dolphins. I think that they're going to make a statement this week.
Yeah, when we make a prediction, we're not trying to do it as a fan would do it. We're trying to, put our pundit hat and analyst hats as best as we can and take everything away. There's going to be a game during the season. I'm going to say the Dolphins are going to lose, but
I'm a homer, Sammy. Matt's not going to. Can't have that happen if he's going 20-0. Come on.
No, Mr. 20-0. There's no way Mr. 20-0 is going to say the Dolphins are going to lose.
Oh God, my heart can't handle this. All right.
Well, next is the big finish at the top 5 power rankings. Well, it's the top 5 power rankings, and we're going to start with Steve. Steve, what are your top 5 power rankings for this week?
I get the honors this week. I don't feel like I'm just copying everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you're number 1.
Exactly. And you know what? I used to think about this, and I used to think way too deeply about this, and now I see why like the Colin Cowherds of the world get away with their crap week in and week out because nobody ever calls him to task.
Exactly.
I hope somebody calls me to task for this because I'm just going to kind of flip things around. Cowboys, they got kicked out for going into Arizona to a team that's basically should be leading the Caleb Williams sweepstakes right now. They got curb stomped. They got rolled up and down the field. Really never even showed up in Phoenix. You're out.
Drake May sweepstakes, not Caleb Williams. Drake
I'm sorry.
May.
I'm sorry. UNC has entered the conversation. Drake May, whichever one, top quarterback. They're going to get one of them. But in any case, so let's make it quick here. Big finish. Kansas City at number 5, Bills at 4, Dolphins at 3. Very tight in there, in my opinion, with the Eagles who are in it too. And the 49ers really just top of the class right now. Coming off of a mini bye, I think that they're going to continue to roll through right now. So that's my top 5.
Awesome. How about you, the controversial Eddie Chaput, their top 5 power rankings for this week 4?
I don't have to go now, Steve. I have to copy off of Steve instead of the opposite. I'm going Buffalo at 5, Kansas City 4, the Fins 3, Eagles 2, 49ers 1.
Hey, how about you, Mr. 20-0, man Armstrong?
Yeah, I don't know why it's so hard for people to just say the Dolphins are the top 5. All 5 of the top 5, that's the Dolphins. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the top 5 of the NFL power rankings. But since I'm not allowed to do that, I'm going to go ahead and state emphatically that my top 5 is the Eagles at 5. Let's go with, we'll put Kansas City at number 4. We'll put San Francisco at number 3. And just because of the week that it is, Buffalo is 2. And your Miami Dolphins are number 1.
Awesome. So my number 1 is the Cleveland Browns. Just kidding, Eddie.
They played better this week.
Okay. My number 5 is the Kansas City Chiefs. My number 4 is the Buffalo Bills. Philadelphia Eagles at 3. Number 2, Miami. And number 1, San Francisco 49ers. They're just playing great. They look unstoppable right now. Mike Florio called Miami and San Francisco the teams of destiny. So at the end, it's only going to be one of them to survive. So we'll see what happens. It will be interesting if that's the Super Bowl. So
that were my preseason prediction was 49ers Dolphins in the Super Bowl. So
I had the Cowboys.
I had it before Mike Florio did. So
the Simpsons had it before everybody again.
I heard about that. Is that legit?
Yes.
That they predicted a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, 49ers
with Miami
Dolphins.
and San Francisco.
I need that clip.
And that was in
Miami won 31-29.
That was like season 10 of the Simpsons, wasn't it?
Yes.
How the hell did they know? And they've been around for like 35.
We're in the Matrix.
There's history of them doing that with the whole range of topics. They have a history of predicting things that have come true. It's bizarre.
They have some smart guys writing, Mike Groening, and those guys are really, really smart. So that's probably why. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe. It was a great show. We had a lot of fun. Hopefully, we have even more fun next week when we see episode 7 of Fins TV. So until next week, let's see you guys. See you next week.
Gentlemen, it's been great. Thanks a lot.
That's a great show. Thank you.
As always, when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl.
Fins up, guys.
Fins up.
You can sing it with me. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins.
I don't know. They did 7 points. We should all sing that. 7 points. We should all sing that.
Let's sing it.
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. All right, that's it. All right, coming up.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins.